Throughout its existence, Fallout has had some major highs and some buggy lows. But one thing that surprisingly everyone can agree on is the quality of the series' newest TV show adaptation. Both inside and outside the fanbase, everyone has agreed, including me, that the show is incredibly good in terms of writing, acting, and set design. If a show can not only get Rotten Tomatoes to give it a high score, but Moist Critical as well, then the team at Amazon and Bethesda are clearly doing something right. I've been having a blast watching it, and as a fan of the series, it's all I could ever ask for. If only Resident Evil could do the same. But that's neither here nor there. Since everyone is raving about everything else good about the show, I want to focus on one specific factor that I thoroughly enjoyed while watching. I've been itching to talk about the series at all in a video essay, so I think that this is the perfect excuse to do so. If you end up enjoying the video, do be sure to subscribe. Usually I focus more on horror games as opposed to open world RPGs about the nuclear downfall of civilization, but if you're interested, I'd love for you to check out my other stuff. Now, before we start, it should be blatantly obvious that massive spoilers on Fallout are going to be present in this video. This is your one and only warning. I am no longer morally responsible. Now, without further ado, let's talk about the Fallout TV show's best idea. Before we delve into the TV series, I first want to briefly talk about the games and some elements from them. Trust me, this will make sense for later. Just stick around for now. Fallout, similar to other open world RPG games, has mostly focused on the player's chosen path and the choices that they make. Okay, I said mostly, didn't I? And when I say choices, there are a lot of factors here. Even the smallest of interactions in the Fallout universe can affect how a certain character or group views you. Rubbing someone the wrong way or picking the wrong dialogue choice can lead to you getting completely decimated by a random group of people. It happens way more often than you'd think. Quick example is at the beginning of Fallout 3 with the tunnel snakes. You're already introduced to picking between either leaving the poor woman to defend herself or stand up to the tunnel snakes gang and fight for her. While this choice isn't as significant as various others you can make throughout the game, you're still taught on the system rather early, and the game purposefully does that. These choices affect your morale and how the game plays out based on how good you were and how bad you were. In essence, the karma system. This helps you forge differing paths throughout your playthroughs. Remember this whole morale thing later. It'll be important to the TV show section, trust me. On a different note, some of the bigger choices in the games, however, have to do with who you align yourself with. Factions are groups you can interact with, help out, and in some cases, join in the Fallout games. They all have varying motives and differing points of view, and whether you view them a certain way is up to you. Each has their own benefits and downsides. You'll often be able to do side quests for them and it feels more immersed. Or, if you're feeling a tad maniacal, you can also join them to gain their trust and proceed to backstab, betray, and murder them to your heart's content. Who needs consequences when you have a mini nuke at the ready? They won't even see it coming. Anyways, there are many groups in Fallout, and a good portion of the time the game gives you a choice for who you want to work with. For the player, there are many paths and decisions you can choose from to see different perspectives of the world around you. The game has many walks of life in the wasteland that you, the player, get to explore as much as you want. Now, stepping away from the player but still to the point I just made, the games have many walks of life that you can never experience or choose from, either from the enemies or non-hostiles. Examples like the wandering ghouls, raiders, and even some of the common townsfolk of, let's say, Diamond City, you'll never be able to play as. So even when the choice is out of your hands, Fallout proves its ability to make many groups and personalities in its content. That's easily where its biggest strength derives from. Its constant world building of factions, groups, and characters who are made up of vastly different morals. The series always effectively shows how different people can end up despite being put in similar circumstances like living in a nuclear wasteland where everything wants to kill you. That's honestly why I love the series so much. Everyone you'll encounter while playing is different. You'll get the good, bad, and ugly from exploring the various amounts of lands on the map and the side quests you can choose from. Each individual's upbringings, backstory, and current living situation is rewarding to learn more about from either interactions with NPCs or readable notes. Fallout's many branching paths for the player, but for the characters in its world make up the entire series and is, in my opinion, its biggest strong suit. Now that I've talked briefly about the games and how their world building, moral choices, and paths are important, we can finally get to the main mole rat meat of this video. The actual show. I can't believe it. Before I get into my main point, you're probably curious about what my thoughts are on the show. And to answer that question, I personally really enjoy it. The story fits the series and gets you quickly invested. The cast is great, and the art direction, amazing. And you can tell that everyone working on it, fan or not, put 100% into making it appealing to everyone, fans and non-fans alike. Easily one of the best adaptations of a video game we've ever gotten. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get straight to the point and talk about the aspect of the story I very much enjoy. Okay, now last warning. Spoilers for the show are directly ahead. Go watch if you haven't. Now let's discuss. In the Fallout TV show, instead of focusing on just the Vault Dwellers, we primarily focus on 3 different characters at the same time, including our main character. The best part of these other 2 characters? They're not like a Vault Dweller in the slightest. Both our other characters derive from completely different paths of life in the Wasteland with fully fleshed out backstories. And I must say, these backstories are very well written. We'll get into those in a moment. Our 3 characters we have to choose from are the Ghoul, a heartless, Ghoul, who originally had ties to Vault-Tec pre-war and is now searching for his lost family. Maximus, a member of the Brotherhood of Steel, who was saved from Shady Sands by said Brotherhood and now devotes himself to justice. And finally, our main character Lucy, who is a resident of Vault 33 in search of her Raider-taken father. As you can see, these 3 characters are completely separated in terms of life. The decision to have 3 major characters with completely separate upbringings and lifestyles was the absolute best idea that the showrunners could have come up with. Think about it. Fallout is known for its vast world with many creatures and people alike, as we talked about earlier in the game section. Giving the audience glimpses into these 3 different types of Fallout characters is the perfect way to adapt the series. We can see from the usual player perspective with Lucy, we can see from the usual radiated creature perspective with the Ghoul, and we can see from a faction perspective with Maximus. It covers all the main bases of the game's large selection of characters and was executed very well. Before I watched, this is exactly what I wanted from the directors and showrunners, and they not only did it, but did it flawlessly with well fleshed out storylines for each character. Often in the show, we'll get to see more revealed with the characters with moments either from the past or the present. This is especially present with the Ghoul, as the show dedicates a good portion of its runtime to his experiences pre-war. One overlooked quality about these characters too, in conjunction with the games, is each character's morality, which I also mentioned earlier in the games section. I will say that I wasn't the first one to spot this, so to whoever I saw online bring this to my attention, credits to you, my friend. Your service to the Enclave will not be forgotten. If we analyze the characters, each of these 3 characters also represent the 3 main types of moral paths you can go on in a Fallout game. With Lucy, we have the good, sweet, and innocent path. Besides a few isolated instances, Lucy only kills when it's necessary and she's defending herself. With Maximus, he's very much the neutral path, with him being a good person who isn't opposed to killing if it's the easier option or if it's right. Maximus literally within the first 2 episodes just let his knight die. I mean, the knight had it coming, but still. He does quite the number of morally questionable things, doesn't he? Lastly, we have the Ghoul, who is essentially the evil route. This one is probably the most clear, given how the first time we see him in a populated setting, he shotguns 8 people. So in multiple ways, the writers managed to show off 2 major factors of the franchise's hallmarks with this decision of honing in on 3 different characters. The best part about each character is how we get to see them change to either adapt to their surroundings or change morally. Lucy starts off as a completely innocent woman, with even the thought of killing freaking her out, especially with that whole golden rule thing. I'm surprised she even managed to do that much damage to the Raider in the first episode. She definitely has the mindset of the ideal Vault Dweller. Then, as she explores the Wasteland more and more, she adapts to its hard conditions and violent nature. By the end, she's far stronger mentally than she was before. Maximus throughout the show's runtime often seems misguided and confused as to what he wants. But the second he meets Lucy, he finally finds an end goal in living with her in the vault. She becomes his reason to persevere. I think his confused nature, while sometimes aggravating, was done in a great way. The Ghoul in the present doesn't really change. He stays just as lawless as when we first see him revived. His character arc, however, is the flashbacks that the show provides us during these episodes. These pre-bomb drop scenes of him being a kind-hearted actor are well done. These cutscenes also show us him trying to uncover the true nature of the vaults and Vault-Tec, which is nice to see. To wrap things up, the writers of the television series managed to capture all the integral parts of the series within these 3 characters, and in more ways than one. This is the perfect showcase of what Fallout is all about. When the world was made public of the show's existence, I must say, skepticism was in the air. Given the general perception of modern Fallout as a whole, and video game adaptations not having a good reputation either, most predicted that it would be bad. But out of the blue, expectations were passed and the showrunners managed to deliver one of the best video game adaptations that I've ever seen. I'm still blown away with how good the show was, and this is coming from someone who pretty much likes every Fallout game. Again, I did say pretty much. Now, if you still haven't watched it despite me giving you 2 spoiler warnings, I recommend that you watch it. Trust me, fans and non-fans alike are praising the series, so what are you waiting for? Thank you to everyone who's watched this far. I really hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I did making it. Since I'm primarily a horror channel, I don't get the chances often to make more lighthearted videos with relaxed analysis and some jokes here and there. And to my subscribers, I hope you enjoyed the switch up from the horror. I haven't done it before, so I thought I'd seize this opportunity. Speaking of subscribers, if this is your first time discovering me, I do hope you'd consider subscribing. As I said, I usually make horror-related videos, but I think you'll have a chance of liking them, so I do hope you check them out. Well, that's all from me. Until next time, cheers!